Brookhaven has updated hundreds of times over the past few years. A bunch of these updates have added new and cool features, but some features have also been removed. So that is why in today's video, I will be traveling back in time to cover everything that's been removed in Brookhaven. Starting off with the vehicles we're all a fan of. Everyone knows that Brookhaven adds new vehicles pretty often, which allows us to rock around in a car we truly love. But there's one car that was removed in the past, and it's by far the coolest Brookhaven car we ever had. In a previous video, I showed you guys this monster truck which required premium to spawn. This car was so big it could literally climb over anything. Well, I didn't explain that this monster truck was actually removed and replaced with this newer looking truck. Unfortunately, this vehicle requires the vehicle game pass to spawn, which is 3 times more expensive than premium. This truck looks better, but it's definitely not bigger and cooler than the original. Brookhaven should definitely bring it back. If we join this copy of Brookhaven and look into the vehicle tab, you can actually see we can spawn it and test it out for ourselves. Why is it not letting me spawn it? I have a video of me test driving this car anyways, so go check that out after this video's finished. A really good way of seeing old removed Brookhaven items is by looking at super old Brookhaven videos. This video here was made all the way back in 2020, and you can see how different the whole game looks. It looks like they removed this cross icon and replaced it with the current one. The newer one looks much better, so I agree with them on that. The premium logo has also changed a bunch. In the video it's just a white star in a blue circle, but now you can see they changed it to this much more detailed and modern look. One super interesting thing that was removed was this house right here. This house was one of the first houses added to Brookhaven, but when you try to spawn it in yourselves, you can see it's nowhere to be seen. The closest house we can see to it is this retro looking house right here, but that's definitely not it. This is the only footage of the house we have before it was completely removed off the game. If we look at the houses again, we can see all the first houses that were added to Brookhaven. This house was the first house ever added, and you can see how much older it looks on the inside compared to the newer houses. Why is this roof so low down? This shower's really nice though. It's so big and spacious. If you guys wanted to experience how Brookhaven was like when it first came out, we need to join this game right here. Once we join this game, we can immediately see what Brookhaven looked like back in 2020. For some reason, the pool is full of old Roblox studs. I guess they didn't have any water back then. As we can see, the motel in 2020 was a lot less modernized and less detailed. If we compare it to the motel we got now, we can see the newer one looks way better and much nicer to live in. Right here was the agency base before it got completely deleted and replaced with the daycare center. Here's where the agency would get up to no good stuff and terrorize Mr. Brookhaven. This Brookhaven version must be super old because even the agency base wasn't done building yet. Up here we can see the mayor's office, who was the leader of the agency. That's so cool. Right here we can see some empty car parks right under the old Blackhawk community. Today Blackhawk can be found right here, and it's one of the biggest communities on Brookhaven. Well, back in 2020 it was right where the motel is. It looks really ugly here. I'm glad Brookhaven changed it. If we carry on following the Blackhawk Road, we'll end up at the old Tube TV station. This is basically the newsroom we have today, but it was a whole building dedicated to recording videos. I think it got removed because it was too similar to YouTube, which is pretty understandable. It looks like the school is the exact same. I don't think it's changed at all since the year 2020. Is the top of the hospital still super spooky? It is! For some reason I can't walk in there though. That must be a bug. We couldn't access the secret X-ray room back in 2020, so I guess that wasn't built yet. Holy cow! This is the syringe which got removed ages ago. I think it was too violent for Roblox, so Brookhaven had to completely remove it. Why is there a random backrooms monster right here? Get away from me, buddy! I don't think the church was created back in 2020, so in its place there's a whole load of nothing. Up here there used to be some more houses we could spawn in. This got replaced with these giant estates, which covers the whole plot. It looks like the Brookhaven agency base wasn't even invented back then. I'm sure it's because they also had an agency base in the mainland. Right here under the bridge there used to be a whole skate park. Now we got a whole load of nothing. But back then we could have fun under the bridge and use the skateboard. I got no clue why they removed this. It looks really cool here. This was the famous restaurant everyone would go to in Brookhaven, but it got completely removed and replaced with Brooks Diner. This was basically the restaurant everyone would go to, where they'd sell burgers and other yummy food. They should definitely add it back. We don't really have a proper restaurant in Brookhaven yet. In the fire department, we can see the old Brookhaven fire truck which got removed. and it's on some sort of lift. This is the fire truck we got today. As you can see, it's much more modernized and detailed. For some reason, there's no possible way we can lift the fire truck up like in the original Brookhaven. Maybe it's because the trucks get stuck when they're trying to rush out the building. Comment which version of Brookhaven you prefer. I want to hear what you guys think in the comments. I don't know if you guys remember, but a while ago Brookhaven added this garage RP house where we fix our cars and upgrade them. This building came with a bunch of secrets, including notes from Mr. Brookhaven and even secret passages. In order to enter the secret passage, we would have to click this mop and walk down the stairs, and we'll get led straight to this secret underground bunker. This secret room is basically the criminal base that existed a very long time ago in Brookhaven. If we make our way over to this Brookhaven copy, you'll see we'll end up in a pretty old version of Brookhaven that was created quite a few years ago. Once we walk into the old automotive store, and behind this parts curtain, you'll see a mop we used to be able to click that would lead us straight to this super similar looking criminal base. This is the same base as we can see in the newer copy of Brookhaven, just less modern. In this base, we can also see the criminals were spying on different parts of the map on these screens. That's so strange. If we also run into St. Luke's Hospital and look at these cabinets, you can see some secret documents which say medical records. This was a secret no one really understood because you couldn't really see any kind of records that was on them. If we join back into the new Brookhaven and check the hospital, you can see there's no records to be seen. This means Brookhaven for some reason removed this secret and never mentioned anything about it. On the wall we can also see a note which explains why the syringes were removed, which is the item I was talking about earlier. One super cool thing about these old versions of Brookhaven are the fact that everything is so different. You can see these classic lampposts next to the spawn are rounded and always turned on. The floor also has no glass on it and no bricks at all. It's basically a much more similar version of the Brookhaven spawn today. In the newer version, you can see the lampposts are square and they only turn on in the night. Everything in the newer Brookhaven just has way more detail and a lot more features added to it. The automotive store in the older Brookhaven is a lot nicer and much more modernized, which is pretty weird to think about. There seems to be a lot more going on and everything's just so much brighter. One thing I completely forgot to mention is the edges of the map. In the older versions of Brookhaven, we used to have these walls surrounding the map. This would basically guard off the edges so people wouldn't fall off it all the time. Now, instead of that, we have a nice beach where we can also spawn boats along the ocean. This is so much nicer. I didn't even notice that the stables in the older Brookhaven is so much bigger and better. The stables we got now is a lot smaller than this and only had one area to protect the horses. I think this was meant for horse racing because there's a lot of random fences placed in the middle of the field. It looks like Mr. Brookhaven's house is fixed in the older version, and there's no broken parts all over the house. As I'm sure all of you know, Mr. Brookhaven's old house is completely destroyed with holes in the roof and broken parts everywhere. On here everything is brand new, but for some reason we have no windows at all. Another building I completely forgot to talk about was this cleaner's building. This got removed ages ago, but this was always out of order because if we look at the back, there's a secret passage that leads us straight to the underground area. This takes us to the criminal base where the criminals would get up to all their activities. The only way for us to reach the criminal base now is by going through this wall and straight down to click on this light bulb. The criminal base doesn't seem to have changed too much over the years, but it's definitely a lot more hidden than it was before. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to watch another video on screen and subscribe to the channel. Bye guys!